Hey, this is Kristen.
And this is Aaron. And this is the Drive Mode Show.
So what are we going to talk about today?
We're talking about teen cars, right?
Talking about
Cars for
teen
your
cars.
teenager.
I remember what it
Not
was like
cars
to
that are
drive
in
as a
their teens.
teenager, and I was not the best driver at the start, but I don't think anybody is.
No, I was. Because I'm
Really?
natural born.
A natural
It
born
was actually
pro
just
driver.
because I spent a lot of time in a farm truck.
Fair enough.
So I had been driving, just not in public.
How old were you when you started driving?
I have pictures of me driving the tractor when I was like 9.
9. All right. Well, I've got my son driving a Gator at 7. Well, he's 10 now, but he started driving a couple years ago, and he loves it.
There you go.
I mean, he's getting practice steering and accelerating, a little bit. It's a good start.
Getting the gist of control, right?
Exactly. The thing about teenage drivers is that they need lots of help, right? And lots of safety features for sure.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, my kids are the same age as yours. Mine are now 9, 9, and 10.
And they're not
And
twins.
soon to be 9, 10, and 10, and then 9, 10, and 11 in just the next few months. But anyway, my kids, thinking about them driving later, which is coming sooner than I think probably, I think about safety. I don't think about gadgets and stuff and what they're going to be doing when they're driving. I think more about what's going to happen while they're driving. So my list of cars for teen drivers is focused entirely on safety and then on some ergonomics, some usability for kids and what kids do. You know, when I was a teenager and I had a car, I went everywhere. And I did everything I could possibly imagine with that car. I stuffed things in it, drove all kinds of people everywhere, went off road with it, even though it was only a Corolla. I did everything. So I thought about that also making my list. What about yours?
You mentioned the Corolla, which is funny because that's one of the first ones on my list. I drove the new Toyota Corolla last year, and I was really impressed. One of the things that I talk about quite a bit is that I really appreciate that Toyota includes their Toyota Safety Sense package standard across the board. And I think that Corolla is a great choice for that because it's reliable, it's safe, it's got lots of good safety features and driver assist technologies, and it's a great way to keep teenagers on the straight and narrow.
So the Corolla was very close to making my list. I ousted it based on value. So I replaced it with the Kia Forte for all the same reasons. It comes standard with a full suite of safety. Comes standard with the crash mitigation, automatic braking, that stuff. But I went with the Kia because for the dollar spent, you're getting a more upscale vehicle. So it feels better. And to me, that means a longer term of ownership. So your 16 or 17-year-old buying this car could drive it all the way through college and possibly beyond.
That's true. It's a fair point.
And then you have a 10-year warranty because it's a Kia.
I was going to say that too. I mean, Kia gets underrated. I think Kia is just, I think, really starting to gather steam, especially with the Telluride. But they are underappreciated, and their cars are very reliable.
In fact, there's 2 Kias on my list because the other Kia that I listed is the Kia Soul. And for all the same reasons, except it's larger. So, let's say your kid is like I was and wants to play in a band. They need to put, a drum kit or
Oh, God
a
forbid.
guitar and amps or something like that. the Kia Soul will accommodate that. The new 2020 Kia Soul comes with the full safety suite and all of the other stuff too, but it's physically larger than the previous one. So it actually has a larger cargo area. I measured it by Wyoming fencing, because when I had the Soul a couple of years ago, I needed to build a new chicken enclosure, and so I bought a bunch of chicken wire, and these rolls of chicken wire were in the back of the Kia. This time I just went to the hardware store and said, hey, can I just borrow some to fill this car and look? And they said, sure, because it's right out there out in their gated area. And so I just loaded the fencing, and I realized that if I had filled the car with it, I could have got roughly double, just because they added that slight amount of space.
That's the Wyoming way right there.
From
the Wyoming way to measure.
Welcome to Wyoming, Kia.
I really like the Kia Soul too. It's fun. And I had one 2 summers ago, and my mom loved that vehicle. I mean, it's easy to get in and out, and it does have a lot of safety features, and it's just easy. You know, it's good value.
Did you just color your mom's?
My mom loved the Kia Soul.
I thought you said moms. It's like, my mom's.
My mom's really liked the Kia Soul. Not my mom's. My mom, Jenny. Hey, Jenny. She has opinions on cars. She's not a teenager, but she loved that car.
So what's next on your list?
Next on my list is the Nissan Sentra. They've been doing a lot of work with the Sentra in the last year or two, especially, I think. And it comes with a lot of safety features again. It's very reliable. And I think Nissan are just really fun to drive. I had an Altima for a while that I absolutely loved.
So I really like the new Sentra. I just drove it, I don't know, it was probably 3 months ago.
Right.
I really enjoyed it. It drives really, really well. But I feel like it's missing. It's just not as I don't know, complete. Something about it, and I can't pinpoint what it is, feels like they skimped somewhere. And I'm sure it's in the drivetrain somehow, the drive quality or something. But for the most part, that's a really great car. And it's one of the better values in terms of dollars. So when you buy it, it's one of the lower cost options right now. So that's got something going for it. But for me, looking at that car versus the Altima, it would be worth spending a little bit more money and getting the Altima instead.
I do love the Altima.
Overall, it's just a better car.
Well, you could you could even get a 2019 right now for a great price, but a 2018 or 2017 is still a good choice.
There you go.
Or if you have a tween now, buy an Altima or even a Maxima, and then you can hand it down.
There you go.
After a couple of years. Now,
see, I hadn't thought about the hand-me-down factor.
Yeah,
Subaru's
now you
made
have to
entire
watch
commercials
that.
based on that.
I mean, safety gets better and better over the years, and the experts always say, you know, it's best to get your teenager. I mean, it doesn't always make sense to people, but it's best to get your teenager the car that has the most safety features, because they're the ones that need the most help. Right? Mm-hmm. So you don't want to give them an outdated car. Like I had a 10-year-old car. A 10-year-old car? Yeah, I had a 10-year-old car when I first started driving.
So anyway, I started somewhere in the mid 80s there, and the car I had was actually fairly new by that standard, because I had a 1984 Toyota Corolla.
I remember those. Those were really cute. All right, so what's next on your list?
Next on my list is a Honda. And I think we were thinking along the same lines.
Definitely.
Here, because I went with a Honda HR-V, which is the smallest of the little Honda crossovers. And I believe, right? They don't have a smaller one?
I don't think so.
Do they? It's compact, so it gets around. It's all that compact also means they won't. Your kid is less likely to try to stuff, 12 other kids into the car to go to some party or whatever. It has all the safety, so it has Honda's full safety suite. What does Honda call their safety systems?
Honda Sensing.
There you go. Honda Sensing. So it has the automatic braking and everything. It has stellar crash ratings from, in fact, out of everything on my list, it actually has the highest ratings from IIHS, so the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and the NHTS, the National Highway Transportation Safety
Right.
Administration. So it has all of those, all that going for it. And like the Soul, it's large enough that you can put those extra things in there, and when your kid is college bound, it can, I believe it has a tow rating. It's not very high, but I think it has a tow rating. I'll have to look that up and I'll put it in text on here, but I'm pretty sure it has a small tow rating that would allow one of those little U-Haul trailers.
I think my sister had a Honda Accord when she was a teenager, or maybe in her late teens, and it's such a great car. I mean, the Honda has always been a good car, great safety, very reliable, so I don't think you can go wrong.
I can't see going wrong either. So you listed the CRV, right?
I listed the CRV. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. It's easy to get in and out. I really like the CRV.
So I would argue for the CRV by saying it actually has a higher resale
True.
because it's the more usable car. So there you go. You
It'll last a
decide,
long
right?
time. Now, let's talk for a couple minutes about used cars, because when I interviewed Jamie Page Deaton from U.S. News and World Report a couple months ago, we talked about their list of best cars for teenagers and best used cars for teenagers. And one thing she said to me, I'm not going to forget this, because my mom has a Buick LaCrosse. So she said a 2016 Buick LaCrosse is a great choice for teenagers because it's big and it's safe. And it doesn't have the cool factor that kids are going to want to drive all their other friends around in it. And that is something, around here where I live, I see kids driving brand new Range Rovers. There's a kid I've heard of nearby that drives a Lamborghini Urus, and that's crazy.
That's nuts.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Used cars, where I live, the most common used car for a teenager is a pickup truck. So name the brand, it really doesn't matter. You'll see that truck as a used truck. I don't see a lot of small pickup trucks, which is kind of surprising. But I think it's because most of them have been relegated to workhorse. So when I see like a Nissan hardbody or something driving around, it's almost always a work truck. It's clearly been on the farm.
Well, and those kids,
Bouncing across
they
something.
probably learn how to drive those early. I mean, some kids who don't have that experience, if you throw them in a big SUV, it seems like that would be really safe and a good idea for them to be in an SUV. The problem is, it's hard to kind of figure out your spatial awareness with that big of a vehicle
Right.
when you're a new driver and you're going to hit things.
Visibility is one of the reasons I went entirely with compacts across the board on my list. Because with a compact car, you have full visibility and you always know where the edges of the car are. So you can see the edges physically without using mirrors. So it becomes intuitive to know where the car is, which will mean theoretically fewer parking lot bumps, fewer, less chance of backing the car over a younger sibling's bicycle or something in the driveway, those sorts of things. Forces that, and then you lose that feeling of big behemoth safety, so it requires you to drive on edge the whole time, which for a first-timer and young driver, that's a really good thing. You want to ingrain that.
I agree, and this is out of the price range and probably the desirability for teenagers, but I felt that both the Ford F-150 and the Ford Ranger had excellent visibility all the way around. I really felt like I could see everywhere I was going, and that is, if you're going to buy a truck for a teenager, that'd be a good choice.
That was one of my chief complaints with the Chevy Colorado and the GMC Twin, the Canyon, is the visibility is not as good. It's hard to see because of the way the cab is designed. They went with that lower kind of squashed cab with a larger rear pillar.
Right.
So you can't really see as well. But another one that's really good is the Nissan Frontier, which is one of my favorite compact pickup trucks because we've talked about it before. It's cheap and you can beat it up.
Definitely.
For used vehicles, I would also recommend that parents consider, if you're really looking old and used, consider one of the older, smaller SUVs. So the CRV that was on Kristen's list is an excellent used choice as well, because they're uber reliable. And then almost anything with Subaru on it is a really good choice if you can find one. Good
Agreed.
luck. Because people don't tend to let those go.
Well, that wraps up my list, and what we can do is put together a spreadsheet or a little chart to show what the differences are between these vehicles, and we'll post that up.
All right, so this has been Aaron.
This has been Kristen.
And this was the Drive Mode Show.
Thanks for watching.